Okay, so it seems that recently there's been a little bit of a situation going on with Ironmouse, and essentially it's to do with a sponsor that she's kind of been doing. Now, we've talked about Ironmouse and sponsors before, right? In the sense of she actually ended up getting dropped from a sponsor over some backlash from Blue Archive fans, right? And that was a pretty interesting one, and she, Zentreya, I think it was Sea-Dog and Giguk all ended up getting dropped because the fans didn't like some comments Sea-Dog made about, you know, kind of lolly characters and things like that. Now, again, that was obviously a situation that has happened in the past, and now, you know, Ironmouse has been doing a lot more different kind of sponsorships and whatever you want to call it, including one that recently came out called NTE. Now, if you don't know what that is, Neverness to Everness is a new gacha game, which obviously I'm all too familiar with. But essentially, there's been a clip that's been going around, though, saying that Ironmouse has dropped kind of NTE and are not doing any sponsorships with them going forwards, which obviously has caused a really, really big kind of, I guess, scene in the not only VTubing space, but the gacha space as well, which I think is pretty interesting, right? So let's just take a look at the clip. Obviously, it says Ironmouse has dropped her Neverness to Everness sponsorship after finding out the developers lied to her ad agency about not using generative AI in the game. So this is the clip, and so let's talk about it after we play it.
And they had told my people
it
that there's
literally
no
has scenes
AI
from
in it.
Weathering with You on a big TV in the city with an AI filter over it. It's not even a whoops, we forgot to take out the temp assets. It's theft, and they keep lying. Feel sorry for anyone that was involved without knowing about this
so
or having
crazy.
already signed contracts without being able to back out.
Bro, I would have never known until I didn't know until I saw that thing on Twitter after the stream. I guess like since I did it, I got pushed. Like a lot of stuff got pushed to me, and then people also added me with stuff. So I saw it, and I'm like, what the fuck, bro? And they told my sponsor people. They told my sponsor people, they said no. They said, we do not have AI in anything. There's no AI anywhere. And it's just like, why are you fucking lying, bro? Like...
So yeah, obviously in the past, I've seen stuff about Neverness to Everness kind of saying that they only used it in the core kind of production phase and that they didn't use it in the actual game assets. Well, obviously that was wrong because it is very obvious that they did use AI within the game. Now, obviously I know a lot of you guys, and obviously me personally, I'm very 50-50 on AI, and like I don't really care about it. I don't think it looks good particularly, and that's just my opinion of it. I don't think it looks good, but I'm also not going to throw a scene if it does, you know, have it in it, right? That's my kind of, you know, thought on it. But of course, you could think differently. You can hate it. You can love it. You can whatever. I don't really care. But it does clearly have it. And obviously, we all know that Ironmouse and obviously Sea-Dog and all the people around her are very anti-AI, right? They don't like using AI stuff. And you can see in this video here, it is literally just Weathering with You with like an AI kind of filter over the top of it, or at least maybe an AI version of the film Weathering with You, and it is pretty interesting to see. It's very obviously a Shinkai style kind of, you know, what do you call that, copy. Like they've copied Shinkai's style, the director Makoto Shinkai, and put it in the background of this you know, kind of place, right? And there's another case as well with this little cutscene saying, isn't this the most obvious use of Gen AI? And yeah, you can see here they have a little video on the TV screen, which is very obviously, you know, AI generated to look in like an old-fashioned kind of cartoon style. And yeah, very obviously also AI generated. And apparently they told Ironmouse that it wasn't AI generated. And I think that's where the issue lies, right? You can love AI, you can hate AI, I don't care. But I think one of the biggest things is that essentially, you know, they didn't tell her agency, they didn't tell her that this was included in it, because if they did tell her, obviously she would have turned it down. And I think it is more so about the honesty of them rather than there being actual AI in it, which a lot of people have been discussing right now. A lot of people have been pointing out some kind of contradictions or whatever. People saying your name, and obviously, yeah, they've been using your name stuff and Weathering with You. It seems like they just kind of used a little bit of both. As I said, it was just Makoto Shinkai based stuff, which obviously he made both Weathering with You and Your Name, saying she's literally using an AI voice filter in the clip. Obviously that's not true. Saying having to be so suspicious of everything nowadays is so exhausting, and they're lying, bruh. And yeah, obviously, as I said, some people care about this a lot. I think that's 100%, you know, within their right to, right? that I'd be more forgiving if they didn't lie about the usage of AI, even though the AI anime was a blatant copy of an existing work. You're already using AI, at least try to make it something original. And yeah, obviously, if they were totally transparent with the fact of like, hey, yeah, we do use it, then maybe I wouldn't, we wouldn't be sat here kind of talking about it and being like, it's pretty bad. But I think that the fact that they have tried to cover it up and tried to, say that, oh no, there's nothing in it is pretty crazy. And obviously they did some digging and found out eventually that this did include it. But obviously they're saying, I'm us the company, why are you lying? They don't really watch our stuff, but W from her for doing that. I think the fact that people don't understand the difference between tools that use AI and generative AI used for artistic pieces is actually scary. Obviously, some people are saying, where's the standard? So E33 AI is okay, but NTE is not. Obviously referring to the fact that, Expedition 33 did use AI in their pre-production kind of phases. It's not in the actual game itself, but again, some people argue, whenever people bring up kind of AI arguments for people that dislike it so much, people bring up Expedition 33 because they technically do use it. It's just not in the game, right? So I think it is pretty interesting. And obviously, a lot of people have been discussing that. But I think, some of the interesting things is just more so, how this has been communicated and whatever. And I think she's well within her right to drop the sponsor if that's how she feels, right? Because as I said, she's known to be very heavily against AI. Now, one point that I did kind of want to bring up, because this hasn't really been talked about at all, really, and I think this kind of ties into it really perfectly, is recently she did an event as well called the VTuber Cup, right? And I don't know if this is organized by Marvel Rivals themselves, or if she helps out, or, how these teams are really picked. But it seems like obviously there's the VTuber Cup with a lot of VTubers, and I'll let you guys just kind of look at this for a second and just tell me if there's anything that is kind of the odd one out. And I'm not talking about Papa Mutt there, or like B-Hops, right? There's one particular person, and some of you may have spotted it, and some of you may not have spotted it, because, it's pretty understandable these days. AI is getting pretty good. But you can see here, this person here called Takeda. Obviously, they have a very obviously AI-generated photo there. And again, I don't have any problem with it. I don't think, if he wants to be in it, sure, that's fine. And of course, the VTuber Cup is already gone, so it's not like there's any harm in, him being kicked out or anything after this. But I did think it was interesting, obviously, with how against Ironmouse is against AI and stuff like that, that, this person is also in it. Because if you go to their channel, if you look at their YouTube channel, they've got like AI-generated music videos and things like that as well. So they definitely do dabble with a little bit of AI, right? Now, of course, maybe Ironmouse is kind of, there could be multiple reasons as to why this still went ahead. It could have been picked by Marvel Rivals themselves, and maybe they didn't know, or someone else picked it, and, it just kind of was not really in Mouse's hands or her team's hands, so they didn't really know about it. Maybe some people just didn't even really check it that much, right? Which again, maybe causes some concern, so they didn't check enough, the background of these people. But, as I said, it could be for multiple reasons why they didn't catch it. I don't think it's Ironmouse's fault that he is a part of it as well. But I did find it kind of interesting that, they were in this. They, very publicly use AI stuff. There's an AI image on this screen right now for the actual graphic of the VTuber Cup. And they were in it, right? Despite how much Ironmouse is against it, which, again, I don't think, Takeda, or Takeda, however you say his name, he could do what he wants, right? Of course, I no hate to him or anything like that, of course. AI sometimes makes it easier for, I guess, smaller VTubers to be able to get assets and stuff that maybe they can't afford, right? But again, just like going off of Mouse's philosophies compared to some of the people that are on here, I think there's maybe a little bit of a conversation to be had. But again, back to the main point, in terms of NTE, I think that at the end of the day, it is slimy that NTE have, done that and have kind of lied to her company about, the usage of AI, because obviously, they did inquire about that, and they just kind of straight up lied, right? And of course, there's been a lot of quotes as well saying if you're deceived by a sponsorship or company about them using AI, this is exactly how you handle it. You vocally make your stance known and withdraw support, even if it costs you a contract. And yeah, of course, this is probably going to lose quite a bit of money, right? You got Kaylee Mills, a voice actor as well, saying it's so important for the people to be, who have the most power to speak in situations. Very kind of proud of Mouse and her team. I hope it leads to positive change. So you're telling me the NTE people who go talk to the talent managers about sponsorships on streamers' behalves have said there is no Gen A on the game, therefore lying even further about the slob images and animation present post launch. This just gets more insane. And yeah, I do think it's one of these cases where I think they lied about it a little bit too early, right? I think in this kind of day and age of AI, you need to be transparent about it. But to be honest, if this was like 5 years in the future, I think they probably could have gotten away with it, right? Because it would have been less noticeable, which is kind of scary to say because you wouldn't be able to tell in about 5 years time. Maybe not even that, maybe about a year's time at the pace that things are going at the moment. But again, of course, you know, it might become more common as this happens. People saying finally someone say Ironmouse has cancelled their sponsorship. And so, yeah, obviously a lot of people have been commenting on that. So, yeah, I mean, that is essentially all there is for this situation. Just kind of wanted to keep you guys up to date with what was going on. I thought it was pretty interesting. As I said, you know, I don't really have any particular side in terms of AI or whatever. I don't really care. Again, don't really consume it. But of course, you know, you can do whatever you want, right? Yeah, I think that at the end of the day, she has her own decisions in terms of that kind of stuff. Yeah, I mean, that's about it, right? If you guys did enjoy this video, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe. Also, go to GameSubs, use my code Kaza, get 10% off. Again, they've got a ton of really cool stuff over there. Definitely recommend checking it out. And yeah, I'll see you guys in the next one. That's all. See ya.